can you tell us how men contribute to Broken Panties, one, and number two, in your contribution to Broken Panties, did you ever, one, have any standards, and two, did you ever compromise, did you feel convicted, were you convicted of the panties that you broke?
No comment.
Let me first say, I appreciate you for this man.
I love it.
Listen, like I said, me and my wife been friends. We was actually like cousins because our moms were best friends for 10 years. So she knows me before I even, winked at her or whatever the case may be. Truth be told, honestly, yeah, I definitely contribute to a lot of it. I didn't really respect women for. I didn't respect women till God showed me my wife. To be honest with you, we've been married for 5 years, and God actually didn't show me. I didn't start getting a desire to respect women until I gave up trying to do stuff myself. A lot of things I did when it came to women really didn't have nothing to do with women. I was a person that didn't mind. I dealt with prostitution, running trains on chicks, tricking them. A lot of foul stuff when I look back at it, to sisters and daughters and aunts, and it's funny, it's a lot of young women that I bump into now that's in the church, and I'll be like, God, you a beast, because our past was super foul, and I actually do feel bad. I was super embarrassed of it, but honestly, no, I wasn't convicted. I didn't have a relationship with God. That's what I was around a lot of people who knew God, and I heard about him. They talked about him a lot, but no, I didn't have no relationship with him. And that's one attribute, go back to what she was saying, that God can't convict somebody that have a relationship with him. Like, a lot of people know about him, but they don't know who he is. So I ran around there with it because it made me feel good. Because if a woman slept with me, that means she liked me, which means I had value to myself. So I ran around to continue to consume value. When I was in the day, I used to love sleeping with Christian women, women that were married, and women that had children by other men. Because it was all about the degradation of another person for myself. So I sought out women who had standards, that was in college or in school, that stood for something, say, I'm a Christian, I'm waiting for marriage, and my whole conquest was to screw you, so I feel better about myself. When I finally figured it out, I had such a terrible outlook on myself. I needed to corrupt everybody else around me so that I would feel better about myself at the end of the day. But I didn't have so after God, actually, I met God and actually had an experience. I went back to the strip club. My homeboy had got out of jail, and I literally cried. Like it ran me out of the place, because there was a girl that came. I remember, she came up on the stage and she had my little niece's face, and it destroyed me. And I spent a lot of time and money in the strip club growing up. I loved it. So when he did that to me, he changed my whole perception. But it was really a respect thing. I didn't respect myself, so why would I respect anybody else? And also, as men, when our fathers don't tell us what makes me a man, doing women makes me men. And I had a bunch of homeboys, and we bragged about how many women we knocked down, and that made us men. So it wasn't until I found out what really made me a man, is that when I looked at all that list of women I've slept with, that I can't remember all their names and how I categorized them. It was embarrassing, and it was mad gross.
Now, when you
We got one question.
When you say that you degraded the women in order to get when you were doing that, did you know at that moment that that's what you were doing, or you just were looking for value, right?
No, I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know it was degradation. More or less, I thought it just made me feel superior. It was like, oh, she dumb. Hey, dude, I met this chick. She said she married. Let's see how married she is. Wow. She loved God. Let's see how much she loved God for real. It was definitely a spirit. It was a real wicked little spirit that was on me that would love to go after. I used to love going after virgins and Christians. I have a notebook that I got rid of a couple years ago of every virgin and Christian I ever slept with. Wow. Yeah, that was a super terrible demon. And these guys exist. So that's why I talk to my sisters a lot, because these dudes are out here and they're preying on you. You little pretty girl, and you like at church, and it's a cat in that church that want to tear you down because you believe in God. And if you like him, and your walk is stronger than his,
Yeah.
he gonna tear you down if you date.
Yeah.
I've lost many sisters that are pregnant, that are just sleeping with dudes now. That they whole set up to girls that was anointed in the spirit, or they like the new dude that had a weak walk and they thought they could fix it, and he destroyed them. You know, I lost a lot of sisters went through that whole process because they so yeah, it's dudes out here that's where our manhood is sleeping with women, especially women of standard, and what we can do to them to go back to our dudes, because that's what we think manhood is. We don't think manhood is having a job and not sleeping with chicks. And so that's the narrative that our fathers aren't teaching us, or that just no one's talking to us. I got a brother now who's 26 years old, who's a virgin, and he ain't no corny dude. But that's what we used to look at. Oh, he's a virgin. He corny. He can't get a chick. This dude have him beating down the door. But he has a standard. We never thought having a standard was masculine. So yeah, I thought it was just more or less putting myself above somebody else. You know, so that's what made it cool to me.